Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for the discussion of membership pricing strategy and the effective strategies that you can utilize for 2026. So today I am joined by Tyler Snyder as well as Avery Leary. Tyler is the platform expert from eFit, and Avery Leary is our platform expert here at Member Solutions. And they're going to just kind of we're just going to have like a casual little fireside chat where we're going to be discussing the main concepts of what you can do to raise rates, keep members, and grow your revenue. So I think that what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pass that over to Tyler first to start things off.
Excellent. Thank you. So yeah, we're going to get to our first slide here. Frankly, most, if not all clients are undercharging at their gyms today. It's something that you may not hear all that often, but it's definitely true. With real world circumstances, the cost of doing business is going up every single year. And if you don't keep up your prices with that, it's just going to end up slowly drowning you. So we're going to have quite a bit to walk through today. We have a few frameworks and even some script examples that you can use to best make this positive change in fixing this situation, essentially. We also have a worksheet that you can use to really get the most out of it.
I agree with you, Tyler. I think that when I talk to most owners, I can tell that they're undercharging. They're always worried about losing their members. I'm sure you hear that all the time too. Mm-hmm. And the truth is, we just have to keep reminding them that staying flat really hurts their growth. So even a small increase can help you unlock thousands of dollars. And we're going to show you guys how to capitalize on that today.
Exactly. So this is more of a clear-cut example, very, very simple example, but a clear one that shows what Avery just mentioned. And essentially, when you don't change your prices, when you don't keep up with the cost of doing business, or you don't adjust your pricing accordingly because of the fear of losing members, you'll end up shorting yourself in the long run. And so we've got this very simple, straightforward example here on the graph. The example gives 250 members and a standard price of about $35 a month. And we took an outsized churn rate, which is the number of members that you end up losing due to them canceling. That outsized number is something that I haven't actually seen. I'm sure Avery, you can attest to this. I haven't actually seen churn rates this high for any of these price increases. But this is to kind of really showcase that even in kind of a more worst case scenario, that you still end up on top. In each of these examples, the gyms that raised the price, by $5 up to 40 or $10 up to 45, even with those outsized cancellations, they're still making more money month over month.
Absolutely. And just and as Tyler mentioned, just a small $10 increase can really help change that gap and help you earn even just thousands of dollars at the end of the year. For our example, we have like more boutiques, so we have closer to around 180 members. So even if you were to bump that up $10 with a 5% churn, so that'll knock you down to maybe 171 members. You multiply that by 10, that's an extra $1,710 per month. Multiply that by 12, and you're going to net over $18,000 extra annually. And you get to do all that before you even add a new member. So that's just a really good place to be in. We're just adding a couple of dollars to your membership.
Right. It's very simple and straightforward. And, when you factor in the annual figure, it really is outsized, by an order of magnitude. Right. So really, we talked about sort of the literal here. Now we really need to understand that we need to think about these sorts of things a bit differently, right? It's not really just about raising the bottom line. It's not about greed. It's about growth. You need to understand that the prices need to go up to keep up with inflation, what have you. But also you need to earn more money in order to put money back into your gym, into your facility, what have you. If you don't have the spare cash or the extra funds, you're not going to be able to make those improvements. And eventually you'll start to see quality degrade for your members. So really, it's just protecting your gym.
Yes, protecting your gym, like he said that, Tyler, and it doesn't make you greedy at all. Protecting your gym, it makes you more sustainable. So something funny that I had learned in looking at martial arts schools for 2024 was on average, they were charging around $145. So if you're in the martial arts space and you're charging near 110 or 120, it really gives you some space for growth as we get into the new year for 2026. So if you're out there watching, I want you to think about what it feels like if you get nervous, feel guilty about raising your prices, and think about what you know your service is worth. I think that's going to be the most important thing to help separate yourself from the competition. So stop thinking about being greedy and just remind yourself what your service is worth and what you want people to walk out of your school with.
Right, right. Remember exactly what it is you're giving your members.
Absolutely.
So this is a kind of a different way to look at the example that we went over previously. We do have the membership pricing planner worksheet that you can use to plug in your own numbers, but we have that example that was meant that we showed before, and it kind of just gives you the calculations about how you can very easily see what kind of effect your pricing changes will net you, just on a monthly basis, but also on an annual basis.
And yeah, I noticed here as well, Tyler, maybe you've seen it in the gym space that when people are worried about that the retention or losing any members, you normally lose maybe, if anything, one or two. And it's always people who were already on the fence of leaving anyway, if that. So it just doesn't impact that growth that you do have. Those people are looking for an out, and the price increase was how they decided to walk out their door, found a comfortable way to make an exit. Outside of that, your normal member base is going to be excited. They're going to continue to love you, champion their community. And if you live in the world like I live in, Netflix, Amazon, everybody goes up every other year on me. So it's just people expect it at this point, especially when you're delivering a great product.
Especially when you're delivering a great product, yeah.
I wanted to just kind of chime in because I know there's so many owners out there that are so scared of the backlash of sharing
Absolutely.
a new pricing, because if they don't share it in the most effective way possible, it kind of just feels like their customers are just going to feel like they're like a rug has been pulled right out from under them. It's that shock. So I feel like what you guys are talking about, trying to understand the value and amplifying the value and helping them understand where that money is going really helps to soften that blow for owners that are really scared to move the needle. Because when it comes to the cost, everything is going up everywhere. Groceries, car loan payments, everything. So
after a while, they start looking at you weird, like, why haven't you increased your prices yet? What's taking so long? So
and your instructors deserve to be paid competitively so that you don't lose those valuable people who are keeping the memberships coming in and retaining all of the people within your community, right?
Right. Like we mentioned, it's about protecting your business. It's about being sustainable. It's actually just good for everybody involved. And you can see on this forecast here, once again, we have under the projected member retention figure there, 90% is, that's a low number. Like Avery was saying, typically when these price increases happen, you'd be lucky to see more than 2 people cancel over these price increases, because people do understand. And especially when you're providing those services, people they get it. They understand that you've got to do this. So I would challenge everyone who uses the pricing planner to actually use those outsized figures. Like in this case, losing 10% of members, 25 people canceling in this one example, you're still coming out with over $2,000 a month every month on top with those 25 people gone. So you want to think about that too.
Yeah, I know we're about to move on to the next subject, but I did want to mention how many people are going to churn if you raise your prices by a few dollars just to keep your equipment, good. Or how many people are going to churn because they're spending all this money on a membership and then you're not upgrading your equipment.
So I'm not likely to leave because there's an old dusty dumbbells before I leave because you got new gear. So
yeah, exactly.
Actually, see where my money is going.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'll let you guys get back into it.
Sure, I love the addition here. So really what we're talking about or moving into is this member psychology aspect of it, right? How much you charge actually does signal to your members the kind of quality that you're delivering, and most people aren't really looking for the cheapest option. They're looking for what's going to get them the most bang for their buck, right? What's the most worth it? And so if you don't change your prices at all, then you're actually shorting yourself, and members might see other gyms or studios in the area raising their prices and start to wonder, what are those members getting that I'm not getting, right? So it largely has to do with the way that you frame the situation, how you signal to your members what it is that they're getting for what they're paying for. And in a lot of cases, you can actually find this out just by talking to your members. A lot of members, if you ask them what they like most about your facility, will tell you exactly what they like the most. And on a lot of occasions, it'll end up being something that you understand yourself. You just didn't quite put the pieces together, these things usually are pretty obvious once you start looking into it.
That's for sure. I like how you said that, Tyler. Like, just ask your members. You're there all the time. Hang out, get the community going. Just ask your members, and they'll tell you exactly what they're looking for. They'll help you along the way. And because it's not always about price. Members don't just pay for classes; they're paying to feel a certain way. They're paying because what your price has or what you're doing reflects the investment they have into themselves, their discipline, their confidence, the investment back into the community. So if it's priced too low, then it's just it may not resonate. Or like you mentioned earlier, Tyler, people may see higher prices somewhere else and wonder, well, what am I missing out on? So I like to encourage owners, avoid trying to copy your competitors, get into like that gas station pricing is what I call it. Just don't sell it in security. Believe in what you have, believe in your service. You're going to continue to hear us echo that because that's truly what matters. And then we got a nice little pricing psychology cheat sheet to help you reframe your mindset that we're going to make sure you have at the end of this as well.
Absolutely. So that kind of leads into, how do we communicate this to our members? And as a general rule, giving members a 30-day heads up is a really good strategy. If you give them too little notice, then it's not going to go over all that well, and you'll have a much higher likelihood of somebody getting surprised that something has happened or that the change has been made. So typically speaking, at least 30 days is a good healthy buffer. You can obviously give them more of a heads up, 60 or even 90 days if you want to go that far out. But realistically speaking, 30 days is the recommended number. And that gives you plenty of time to follow up with members, the ones that if you do get pushback from any of them, you can easily communicate to them what it is that you're doing, what value they're getting being a member. You can point to the ways that you've improved upon your facility, do that with new equipment, new flooring, improved cleaning services, et cetera, et cetera.
That's a great point, Tyler. And too often I never hear anybody complain about a price increase because they had too much of a heads up. It's normally because you waited to the last second because you were a little nervous about sharing it. So give people a heads up. Don't lead with an apology, and keep it simple. Give a notice, explain the value, and say it confidently. If people have questions, respond to them, and just make sure you're layering everything: the notice, signage, email, and verbal. You're walking around the gym or the dojo all the time, like while you're chatting with people, just drop that nugget in there. Just let them know. Give them a nice little heads up. That'll go a long way. It's a small community. People can spread it by word for you, and it just makes that much easier for you. We'll also share some templates on how you can do a great way to roll out some of your pricing planning for you as well.
Exactly. So just to follow up on what Avery was saying there, the way that you handle those objections when you send out your communication, like I said, you can send it out 30 days in advance. Once people start to notice it, most members, the vast majority of your members will see that and they won't think twice about it. They love your gym, they love your facility, they want to support you. That's just a natural part of the process, right? But for that small subset of members who will come up with objections, we do have, as Avery mentioned, some script examples that you can go through to kind of get a feel for and kind of plug in your own situation, so that way you can give people a clear picture as to why you need to make these changes, why it's worth it. And really it comes down to leading with, once you've given them kind of the pitch of like why, the values being, why the prices are increasing, and you've given them some value, they might give you some pushback. And I have one example off the top of my head of someone whose gym member only goes in and uses the treadmill, and that's all they care about is the treadmill. They don't care about the dumbbells, they don't care about the machines, they just want to go in there and use that treadmill. And so they gave pushback as to, why should I have to pay more money when all I do is come in here and use the treadmill? And so the way you respond to that is you start with that empathy. I hear you. I get it. You only use the treadmill. You don't really care about all these other machines. You don't care about this, that, the other thing. But here's why this is happening. This is why this is changing, because with this change, we can better provide more machines for other gym goers that will free up those same treadmills that you like to use. We can use that money to get more treadmills, so that way you don't have to wait as long to use that same thing. And ultimately, you have to deliver it with confidence, right? You need to be assured in what you're saying, so that way you don't give the wrong signal that you don't actually trust your own your own business strategy. You really don't want to answer with anything less than confidence, right? If you start apologizing for the change, if you start apologizing to the members who give these objections, you're just going to open up that door to mistrusting you. Then it stops being a change for growth and it starts being a change for greed. They don't trust that you're upping the price because you have to, because you're apologizing to them, for it. So you definitely don't want to lead with any apologies, any sorries. That's just going to backfire on you, and that might turn one member who's objecting into half a dozen once they start to bring the word around and complain that the prices are being raised unjustifiably.
For sure. And pushback is totally normal. But when you get pushback, it's not for you to feel like you're doing something wrong. It's normally because maybe they were just caught completely by surprise. Anytime you hear about something being raised on your last second, that can really throw you for a loop. So kind of covered it in the last slide as far as communication goes. But really just making sure everyone understands, gets a proper heads up, and you do a really good job, as Tyler mentioned, sounding confident and reinforcing what your mission is, which is what your members signed up for day one. So like I said, think about it. When's the last time you did a price increase? How'd you roll it out? And if you were ever unsure about anything, definitely make sure you refer back to this 3-part formula that Tyler just shared with you about being confident, emphasizing the value, and not leading with an apology.
Excellent. So yeah, really quick, I'll just touch on a case study. You kind of brought something up a second ago about a particular club that had that the treadmill only guy, but I've got something a bit bigger than that and would be quite surprising to a lot of business owners, I'm sure, is a gym based up in New York. They were talking about they needed more funds to help with a transitional period that they were going through, renovating their space, getting new machines, et cetera, but they didn't really know how to go about that. And so one thing that I noticed that they were lacking was an annual fee. That's something that most gyms do nowadays, is an annual fee, because that gives that nice healthy buffer for a gym to keep things running smoothly. And so I brought that up to them, and they were instantly afraid of the idea. They did not necessarily like the idea very much at all. They were saying, well, if we do that, how's that going to be fair to our members? How is that going to reflect on us? It's just going to be a cash grab type of thing. And so I challenged them. I told them, go talk to your members, go talk to the folks that have been a part of your facility for 2, 4, 6, 8+ years, and see how they feel about getting an annual fee added on, just once a year, for example. And sure enough, within 2 weeks, I get a call back from that same owner, and he tells me that each and every one of his legacy members, the ones that have been there and supporting him, said, yes, give me the fee, charge me the fee. I want to pay the annual fee so I can help support you guys. I want to see you guys grow. I want you to be successful. I love the gym, et cetera, et cetera. They all were 100% on board. And, to make a long story short, they ended up adding this annual fee, rolling it out to each of their existing members, and of course giving it to the members who were signing up. And they didn't have a single person cancel over it, not a single one out of the hundreds and hundreds of members at their gym.
That's a really good story.
That really is. I honestly feel like it's powerful, right? If you for people who are gym goers, once they find a really good gym, they do not want to let go of it. They don't want them to fizzle out and burn. So I feel this is a really great example. Anyway, I interrupted you there, Avery. You going ahead?
Oh, no, I was just taking a moment to think. I was like, that was a really good story. It just reminded me of like during those times when everything was shut down a few years ago, and a lot of people had options to quit with no harm, no foul. There were so many people who continued, myself included, just supporting the local gym I was at, continue to let my dues come out, and just to help a small business. And that storytelling just really took me back 5 years. So that was really nice. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's not a crazy idea, honestly. Yeah. People that like their gyms want the gym to stick around. They want the gyms to succeed. And members that if you don't talk to them, you'll never know. They may not say this outright. I don't think there's going to be anybody who's going to walk into the gym one day and say, boy, I really hope you guys raise my prices. But at the same time, if you have those conversations, you get with them face to face, you say, hey, what do you guys like most about our gym? What do you think about us adding, an annual fee? It just happens once a year, or, this amount. Would you be willing to pay that to help support us in hiring a cleaning service, or replacing the flooring, finding a new location, a bigger location to accommodate more people so that you have all that extra space for your equipment and folks. Have these conversations with your members, and you'll be very surprised to find the positive reactions, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And then for us, we're going to be delivering a Members for Life guide. It's a plug and play to help you kind of build up your community. We have 30, 60, 90-day check-ins, scripts to help you do upgrades, ways to approach for retention. We've seen gyms implement, we've seen dojos implement this, and it's just a small way to help you keep 95% of your members happy, doing some awesome things that Tyler just mentioned. It's not always about some perfect pitch, but staying focused on your community, on your retention change, and just doing some awesome things, highlighting people. Take a second to think about what you've done to make your members feel valued. What have you done to make your members feel like there's loyalty there? You may not think you're doing a ton, but it's so small to buy in that love, that passion, and that faith from your community. Just like Tyler mentioned, just make sure you talk to your members, see what the story is, and find the reason why, what brings them in.
Right, absolutely. The best way to find what members value most about your gym is your members, right? They're going to tell you exactly what they love, what they love about it, what they like about the services, the space, whatever it is their favorite, and that's going to help you zero in on exactly what you can use as your value proposition, right? When you're going through these motions of trying to grow your business, the best thing to do is to know exactly what it is that members love the most about your business. So that way you can hone in on that and keep providing that, protect that service that you're giving them, protect that value that you're giving them. So really that does kind of lead to that ultimate question of what are you waiting for, right? The standard that everyone kind of has come to understand is that the start of every new year is when folks love to sign up for the gym to show up and to make a difference in their lives. And ultimately, that is the best time to be prepared ahead of time. So that way, when they do show up to your front door, you have nothing but positive experiences waiting for them. And you can very easily showcase them the value that they're getting for their membership.
Absolutely. So after today, you should have the tools you need. You should be done thinking about it and thinking about action as we get ready to hop into a new year. You got scripting, you got things to roll out. You have myself, Tyler, Mary Margaret as resources. So if you need any help at all, feel free to review the worksheets. Reach out to us when you're drafting your emails, talking to your team, thinking about your deadlines. We literally are here to help and can't wait to see you kick off a great 2026.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Better words have never been said. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I have honestly learned so much, and I'm sure that our viewers have as well. So I guess we will just wrap it up here, and I hope that everybody has a great 2026. See you guys in the new year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Bye.